Hello and welcome to our channel. Today, I'm going to tell you a powerful and inspiring story, the true life journey of Helen Keller. This story will not only help you improve your English, but it will also show you the meaning of courage, determination, and never giving up. So, sit back, relax, and let's begin this unforgettable story together. Today, I have something very inspiring to share with you. A story that will help you improve your English and also make you feel more motivated than ever. After hearing this story, you may look at your own problems and think they are small. The strength, courage, and determination in this story will help you believe that anything is possible if you don't give up. This is the story of a woman who faced huge challenges. But instead of letting those problems defeat her, she rose above them and became successful. Her name is Helen Keller, and her journey from a life of darkness and silence to becoming a symbol of hope and success will amaze you. Before we start, don't forget to click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling me what you learned from this story. I believe you'll feel as inspired as I do after learning about Helen's life. Let's begin. Helen Keller was born on June 27, 1880, in a small town called Tuscumbia in Alabama, USA. She lived in a quiet house with a loving family. Her parents, Arthur and Kate Keller, were very happy to welcome their baby girl. They named her Helen Adams Keller. But they had no idea that their baby would soon face a very big challenge that no one could expect. When Helen was just 19 months old, she became very sick. No one was sure what kind of illness it was, but it was serious, maybe scarlet fever or meningitis. Because of the sickness, Helen lost her ability to see and hear. Imagine that. Such a young child who could no longer see her parents' faces or hear their voices. Her world suddenly became completely dark and silent. For any child, seeing and hearing are the most important ways to learn and connect with the world. But for Helen, everything became confusing. She couldn't hear people talking. She couldn't see what was around her. Can you imagine the pain and frustration she felt? Most of us can't. As Helen grew older, she became even more frustrated. She couldn't tell anyone what she needed, and her parents didn't know how to help her. It was like she was stuck in a world where no one could understand her. She often got angry and threw fits. Imagine a small girl who can't talk, can't hear, and can't see. How do you think she felt? Helen was confused, sad, and angry all the time. But deep inside, she had a strong spirit, and that spirit would change everything. One of the hardest parts of childhood is learning how to communicate. For most of us, it happens naturally. We speak, we listen, and we understand people's faces. But for Helen, everything was a puzzle. She had to figure out how to solve that puzzle by herself. It was a very hard journey, but she was about to meet someone who would change her life forever. That person was Anne Sullivan, a teacher who came to help Helen when she was about 7 years old. Anne was also partially blind, so she understood how hard it was to face these challenges. She was determined to help Helen learn to see the world in a new way. Even though it was difficult, Anne never gave up on Helen. She was patient, kind, and loved teaching. On their first day together, Anne showed Helen how to communicate by spelling words into her hand. It was very slow and hard, but Anne kept trying. Can you imagine how hard it was for Helen? She couldn't see Anne's face. She couldn't hear Anne's voice. So everything Anne taught had to be felt with her hands. One of the most famous moments in Helen's life happened when Anne took her hand and put it under running water. At that moment, Anne spelled the word W-A-T-E-R into Helen's palm, and something amazing happened. Helen understood. She realized The water and the word were connected. It was like the door to the world had opened for her. Now, she had a way to understand things. This moment changed everything. From that day on, Helen wanted to learn as much as she could. She was no longer stuck in a dark, silent world. She had found a way to connect with everything around her, and that gave her the strength to keep going. But her journey was still not easy. She lived in a world where most people could not understand how she could live or even succeed. Anne Sullivan, her teacher, worked hard with her every day. It took time, but Helen was not afraid of hard work. She had a strong desire to learn and connect with the world, no matter how hard it seemed. Every day, Anne would spell words into Helen's hand, and Helen would touch the objects that matched the words. For example, if Anne spelled the word flower, she would guide Helen's hand to feel a real flower. This helped Helen connect the word to the object. Helen didn't just learn words. She also had to learn how to read and write. Since she couldn't see, she used a special system called Braille. Braille is a way of reading and writing using raised dots that can be felt with the fingers. Imagine trying to read and write without using your eyes. How hard would that be? But Helen didn't let her blindness stop her. Anne didn't only teach Helen to read and write. She also taught her how to speak. Speaking without hearing your own voice sounds impossible, but Anne had a way to teach it. She helped Helen feel the vibrations in her throat when she made sounds. With time, Helen learned to speak and talk with others. At first, her speech was difficult to understand, but with Anne's help and patience, Helen's voice became clearer. By the time Helen was 10, she had already learned many things. She was more than a girl who couldn't see or hear. She was a student, full of ideas and knowledge. But Helen didn't stop there. She wanted to go to school like other children. In 1894, when she was 14, Helen went to the Perkins School for the Deaf in New York, and she did something amazing. She did very well. She studied hard and learned even more. Later, Helen was accepted to Radcliffe College, one of the top schools for women in the US. This was a great success, especially because she was both blind and deaf. Helen wasn't just happy to be there, she wanted to do her best. Anne continued to support her, helping her read and understand her lessons. They spent many hours together. Anne would spell out every word Helen needed to learn. Even though it was hard, Helen never gave up. In 1904, Helen graduated from Radcliffe College. She became the first person who was both blind and deaf to earn a Bachelor of Arts degree. Just think how proud she must have felt. It was a big moment, not only for her, but for people all around the world. It showed that great challenges can be overcome with strong will and hard work. Helen's learning didn't end with school. She wanted to use her voice to help others. She began giving speeches about her life, telling people how she overcame challenges. Her message encouraged others to keep trying, no matter how hard life gets. Helen became a powerful and inspiring figure. Her writing and speeches gave hope to many people across the world. She also became an activist. She used her fame to fight for the rights of people with disabilities. She wanted to make life better for those who were often ignored or treated unfairly. She supported better education, fair treatment, and equal rights. Her voice became one of the most important voices in the fight for disability rights. Helen's life was full of hard work and dedication, but it was also filled with love. Her friendship with Anne Sullivan was strong and deep. Anne wasn't just a teacher. She was Helen's lifelong friend and biggest supporter. She helped Helen do things no one thought possible. Helen was also close to her family. They shared many happy moments, and were proud of her success. Helen's story didn't end after graduation. In fact, some of her most important work came afterward. After reaching such success in school, Helen decided to help others. She wanted the world to know that people with disabilities could do anything. One of the first things she did after college was to start writing. She had many stories to tell about her struggles and her victories. Her first book, The Story of My Life, was published in 1903. The book inspired people all over the world. It told the story of her early years, her education, and her relationship with Anne Sullivan. Anne wasn't just a teacher, she was a lifelong friend and guide. In her book, Helen shared the difficult moments she faced. She talked about her anger, her sadness, and the times she doubted herself. But she also explained how she overcame those problems. She used her senses, touch, smell, and taste, to experience the world in a way most people never imagined. Her book became a message of hope. It showed that we can always find a way forward, no matter how hard life becomes. Helen didn't just write, she also spoke. She traveled around the world, giving speeches. She talked about education for people with disabilities and the need for more acceptance in society. Helen didn't just talk about overcoming challenges. She showed it through the way she lived. She proved that no matter how big the problem is, we can still move forward and succeed. She used her voice to tell people that their limits didn't have to control their future. Helen became one of the most well-known women in the world, but even with all the attention, she stayed humble. She didn't think of herself as a hero or someone special. She believed that anyone, no matter their situation, could do great things if they didn't give up. One of Helen's strongest messages was about helping others. She worked hard to speak up for the rights of people with disabilities. She traveled to many countries, not just to give speeches, but also to work with leaders and groups to improve the lives of people with disabilities. She wanted better schools, better jobs, and better living conditions for them. She believed that everyone deserved a chance to succeed. But Helen's life was not only about work, she also enjoyed the simple things. Even though she couldn't see or hear, she loved feeling the warm sun, the cool breeze, and spending time talking with friends and family. She liked reading books, feeling nature, and enjoying quiet, happy moments. Helen taught people that happiness doesn't come from having everything. It comes from being thankful for what you have. She also believed strongly in giving back. Helen spent much of her life working for good causes. One of these was the American Foundation for the Blind, where she helped improve the lives of blind people. She believed that when we help others, we make the world better. Helen's voice was so powerful that she also got involved in politics. She spoke out for the rights of women, poor people, and anyone treated unfairly. She strongly supported women's right to vote and was part of the Socialist Party. Through her work, she tried to make sure everyone had the same chance to succeed, no matter their gender, race, or disability. Even when she got older, Helen continued to inspire people with her strength and words. She wrote more books, including life stories and books about social problems. She met with presidents and world leaders and talked with them about how they could help people with disabilities. Her work was never about herself. It was always about helping others. But like everyone else, Helen had hard times too. In 1936, her close friend and teacher, Anne Sullivan, passed away. This was one of the most painful moments in Helen's life. Anne had been more than a teacher. She was like a soulmate and lifelong companion. Losing Anne felt like losing a part of herself. Still, Helen didn't give up. She kept going, knowing Anne would have wanted her to continue the work they started together. In the years after, Helen's health started to get worse. She was still active, giving speeches and traveling, but she knew her time was getting shorter. However, Helen was not afraid. She had lived a life full of challenges, but also full of success. As she got older, Helen kept teaching the world the most important lesson: never give up. Her mind stayed sharp. She still loved to read, write, and learn. Even in her last years, she stayed updated on the news and kept caring about people with disabilities. She worked to raise awareness about their struggles and how society could help more. She also kept fighting for women's rights, social fairness, and equal treatment for all people, causes she had cared about her whole life. But Helen's body grew weak over time. In 1961, she had a stroke, which badly affected her health. Even then, she didn't stop. People from all over the world wrote to her, telling her how her story had changed their lives. She remained a true example of someone who overcame huge challenges. Even during her hardest times, Helen still chose to be a light for others. Though she became weak, she never lost her purpose. She continued her work with the help of her longtime assistant and friend. Peter Fagan, who worked closely with Helen, helped her communicate and continue her work. Even though she couldn't travel as much as before, her presence was still strong wherever she went. She kept giving speeches, writing books, and fighting for social change. Her voice was never silent. In 1968, after a life full of great achievements, Helen Keller passed away at the age of 87. Her death marked the end of an incredible life of strength and courage. But it was also the beginning of a legacy that would inspire people for many years to come. Helen Keller's words were not just words. They were lessons for the world. Every phrase she spoke came from a place of strength, courage, and deep understanding of life's struggles. She had the special ability to see hope in the impossible, and her message still touches millions of people. Let's look at some of Helen's most famous quotes and what we can learn from them. One alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. This quote reminds us that teamwork is powerful. No matter how strong we are as individuals, we can achieve more when we work together. By helping one another, we can overcome any difficulty. The only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. Helen teaches us that true vision does not come from the eyes. It comes from our heart and mind. Vision means having big dreams and goals, and working toward them even when life is hard. What I am looking for is not out there, it is in me. This quote tells us that the strength we need is already inside us. We often search for answers outside, but we should remember that we have courage and confidence within ourselves. Keep your face to the sunshine, and you cannot see a shadow. This quote is about staying positive. Even when things are hard, if we choose to look at the good, we will find light and hope. It's not about pretending the problems aren't there. It's about choosing to focus on what brings us joy. Life is either a daring adventure or nothing at all. Helen reminds us that life is meant to be lived fully. We should take chances, face our fears, and enjoy life like an adventure. If we live with fear, we are not really living. We must be brave and take opportunities when they come. Helen Keller's legacy and what we can learn from her life. Helen's life was not easy. She had many struggles and challenges that most people will never experience. But she still lived a life that changed the world. She wasn't perfect, but she was strong, determined, and never gave up. The most important lesson Helen teaches us is to never give up. Life will have problems, but those problems do not define us. What matters is how we respond to them. Helen showed us that anything is possible if we work hard, stay focused, and keep going even when life feels impossible. Being blind and deaf did not stop Helen from reaching her dreams. In fact, those challenges made her even more determined. She became a role model and inspired others to do great things too. To everyone watching this video, Helen Keller's story reminds you of something very important. Your problems are small compared to the strength inside you. Whatever you are going through, big or small, you have the power to rise above it. You are stronger than you think. Helen's story proves that you don't need to see the world the same way others do to make a big impact. You don't need to hear everything to be heard. What you need is to believe in yourself, focus on your goals, and never give up. Remember, life isn't about waiting for the storm to go away. It's about learning how to dance in the rain. Everyone has something special inside. You have the power to reach your dreams, no matter what stands in your way. Helen Keller's life proves that no dream is too big, and no problem is too great. If she could do so much, just imagine what you can do. Don't let anything stop you. You are strong enough to achieve greatness. And always remember, you are not alone. There is always someone who believes in you and supports you. So keep moving forward, because the best is yet to come. Never give up, and let your light shine bright. If Helen Keller's story inspired you today, don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends. Subscribe to our channel for more simple English stories that teach powerful life lessons. And turn on the notification bell so you never miss our next inspiring video. Remember, no matter how big your problems are, you are stronger than you think. Thank you for watching, and always believe in yourself.